Welcome to Season Chasers. I'm Rob Freeman. Those that love nature and outdoor sports spend a lot of quality time looking for adventure throughout the year. The more you study, the more you learn about the peak seasons in nature. It's fun to know when it's best to go fishing or hunting, when it's time to pick blueberries, wild mushrooms, or native pecans. Sometimes the peak season is close to home, right in your own backyard, or it could be miles away near the mountains and the sea. Either way, this program will chase the seasons where the action is hot.
Woo! Well, I really like it when a good plan comes together. And it's been a fun morning out here. It's the second day of turkey season, and heard a lot of gobbling early before sunrise this morning. And wasn't too long before we had 5 jakes come out, and then 6 or 8 hens meet up with them, and they puttered around here by the corn for quite a while. And kept seeing some single hens come out here and there, but this guy is the first tom that poked his head out, and looks like it's only a 2-year-old bird, probably got 3/4 inch spurs, but it's got a really nice beard on it. And let's see what this tail looks like. But he was following a hen coming out through this forest. Let's turn around this way. This is what spring turkey season's all about. It's about getting up early, and we had several deer come through here, and heard a lot of different birds this morning, and it's really fun when you can get a big guy like this to come in. And we got quite a trophy here this morning on Season Chasers. Thanks for joining us. Now, this past week, you may have seen what we did with the turkey that we harvested today, and I showed you how to remove and keep the beard and the tail on a tom turkey or a jake or any legal bird that you harvest this spring. And today we're going to try to tell you the story that led up to this one popping his head out of the forest. And got to see a lot of action before we finally took a shot. And we'll show you how it all turns out this morning on Season Chasers. Thanks for coming along.
It's spring in southeast Kansas. We're hunting wild turkey over bait. So welcome to the little cafe on the prairie. Hunting near grain isn't legal in some surrounding states, but it is allowed in Kansas. There are a number of methods to scattering corn in a given area. I've used timer feeders, gravity bins, and all of them do a good job of scattering corn on the ground. But I also do just about as well with a coffee can, or you can dump it right out of the bag. Then 5 jakes burst onto the scene. Jakes are juvenile male turkeys, not quite a year old. They run in a pack to keep from being whipped in a breeding fight with an older bird. When you're feeding corn, you'll see lots of jakes and hens, but you just never know what might come sneaking in with them. The jakes seem to like that corn as a treat. Their main diet right now is the tender ends of the new growth of grass. And turkeys eat almost anything that moves, including many types of bugs. Over the last 2 weeks, I fed about 3 bags of corn that I got from Blue Ribbon Farm and Home. When you're putting out corn, you're feeding just about everything.
Hey, they could use some corn now too. Once full of corn, the 5 jakes seemed to drift away, but not too far out of sight. They stopped in the shade of an elm tree, and they kept looking back toward the corn. More customers at the Prairie Cafe, and this time it's a bunch of hens. And if you look real closely, there's one hen in that group that has a visible beard. These birds are only about 20 yards away, but me and the camera are well secluded in the box blind. All groups of turkeys have a pecking order, or rank within the group. The ones at the top take first pick at the best feeding spots at the Prairie Cafe. More from the Prairie Cafe, coming up next on Season Chasers. By now, the 5 jakes have moved back to the corn to join up with these hens. Now right here's the reason that I hunt over bait. It gets lots of traffic, and I get live decoys. Now, not the ones that'll be spinning around on a windy day. Now if a tom sees this, he should come charging in to run off those jakes, or at least to court the hens. The jakes don't seem to know what to do, and they just stand around looking big and important, and the hens begin to drift away, leaving those jakes pretty much looking at each other. As they move on, the hens take turn dusting, probably to keep the bugs away this time of year. The jakes don't have anything better to do now, so they'll just follow the hens as they go about doing what wild turkeys do.
I haven't been doing much calling today, but I decided to see if a little yelp call might change their exit. Nope. Sometimes the wind makes it pretty tough to call. Decoys in the corn can make the hens nervous as they come in to feed, but they always like gold nuggets right here at the Prairie Cafe. At a distance, another male bird appears, and the 5 jakes spring into action to run off this newcomer. Some of the strange turkey behavior that you see out here on a spring morning. A few minutes later, a single hen pops out of the trees and heads directly for the corn cafe. As I look back in the woods where she came from, I see the first tom of the day has a nice full beard, and it's beginning to head toward the clearing. When hunting over corn, you don't always see as much strutting and fanning, but I knew that this tom was following the hen. I made some clunking noises moving around the camera inside the box, and when he stepped out at 15 yards away, I figured out he probably wasn't going to come any closer than that. The next sound you hear is the click of the safety.
Well, that's pretty close. Now, today's hunt was quite a challenge in a number of ways. I was by myself in this 4x8 homemade box blind, and sometimes it's a little difficult to film and hunt at the same time when you're the only camera operator there. What I had to work with when this turkey came in was this window space, and that window space was good for shooting a camera and shooting a shotgun. And this tom turkey came in within 15 yards of the box blind. Today we're using Federal 3-inch 12-gauge shells with 1 7/8 ounce of kind of a heavy number 7 shot. And I like the number 7 shot because run that through a full choke on a 12-gauge, and there's very little gaps in the pattern. And when it comes to shooting at a turkey, you're aiming just at the head and the neck. It's really hard to kill a turkey with a shotgun with a body shot unless you break a wing or something, but then you're going to have a lot of pellets in the meat. But what we're looking for here is to get them in close, shoot them in the head and the neck, and you don't have to track them very far, and you've got a pretty good prize here when you're out doing spring turkey hunts. Well, it's been a nice spring morning here on Season Chasers. Got out here before sunrise and got to hear I was out here while the whippoorwills were still calling, and then all the other songbirds kicked in. Got to hear some gobbling this morning and some hen talk from the trees, and got to see a lot of feeding activity here where we've been putting out corn on the Kansas side. And well, it was almost 10 o'clock this morning when that single hen came through and had a tom right behind him. And here's a really nice eastern bird from southeast Kansas, and this is a tom turkey that I'd estimate is a 2-year-old bird. It's a tom, but it's only got 3/4-inch spurs on it, and probably weighs in the 19-20 pound range, and it's got a pretty nice beard on it. I could see the beard on this one as it came through the brush, and decided that that's what we're going to use to fill the first tag. In Kansas you can get 2, and if you're lucky enough you get them in the same day. I think I'm going to save mine for later and speculate on maybe a bigger trophy bird, but we saw lots of action this morning, and glad to bring this one in and show you today on Season Chasers. Thanks for coming along. Sometimes when you're in a box over corn, you might need an officer to direct the traffic. Traffic from all directions. The morning of Friday the 13th turned out to be real lucky for one recent visitor out here at Pawnee. Kind of state your name and where you're from and what in the heck you're doing here in Kansas.
Name's Ricky Godwin from Derricks, Arkansas, in the south part of Arkansas. And I'm up here trying to kill me a turkey. I think I did it. Killed 2 gobblers this morning, one at 7:30 and one at 10:30, or 10 or 10:30. One's got a 10.5-inch beard with 3/4 spurs, and the other has a double beard. It's 11.5 is the longest beard, and the next one is 7.25 inches. It's got an inch spur.
Oh darn, you bought some lucky tags in, didn't you?
Yeah, kind of like the lottery, I guess.
So how you like this turkey hunting in Kansas?
Oh man, I like it. I'd never been. I've always heard about it, but it's good.
You were pretty well pinned down in that box most of the morning, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I had birds on me all morning long. It was unreal. Probably as high as probably 15 to 20 birds at one time I'd seen there at one time.
Now, were any of those in distance to get, like with a pool cue or anything?
Yeah. That's the first bird I killed. It was probably 12 steps, I'd say, 12 or 15.
All right, so you only got to take 2 shots this morning, but you got to fill 2 tags.
That's right. Batting 1,000. Well, I appreciate it, and I had a great time.
Big old birds, and it's a good thing you had some help carrying those out today. Ricky didn't get them all, and there's plenty of Kansas season that's left on the calendar. If you'd like to go on a hunt like this, don't wait till the deer eat all the corn. These fawns had a back-to-back feeding system, and I'd always watch wherever they're looking. Here's another Jake at the Corn Cafe, joined by a couple of hungry hens. Even though these aren't shooter birds, it's really fun to watch them up close and learn about their behavior. If you want to hunt in Kansas, call right away before the grass gets too high. Our all-weather shaded blind is the best seat right here at the Prairie Cafe. We'll close out the turkey part today with a strutting Jake. You can see by the uneven tail fan. Next, a couple of game cam shots of rare bearded hens. And an up-close pose of the two of them. And finally, here's one. Might just give you nightmares.
Now here's something you hardly ever do when you're crappie fishing. Get out the scale. But we've had such kind of a good morning already. I'm going to have to get the scale out this morning on one of these crappie. Here's the basket with some regular size ones in here. All the ones in this place. But here's a really, really nice one we ended up with. I'm going to put this one on the digital scale. Get an idea what this one's weight is. Put the digital scale on it. It's exactly 2 pounds even. 2 pound crappie. Very nice. This is the kind of crappie that when you catch one of these, it'll almost keep you out there all day. And even though it's almost blow your hat off windy today, we're going to go see if we can catch one bigger than this. 2 pound crappie on Season Chasers. Thanks for coming along.
Tune in each week for some of the stuff you just won't see on other shows. Outdoors, wildlife, and a life of adventure. Being on the lookout for natural foods and making the most of what the wildlife provides. Study, learn, and share the great outdoors with someone who's important to you.